Hey, welcome to another podcast on Front Runner. Today we're joined by Coach Shilene Booysen, new South Sudan women's national team head coach. Not new anymore. She's been there for almost a month now. Coach, welcome. How's it going out there in South Sudan?
Hey Fidel. Yeah, I'm good. I to be honest with you, when I came here, I felt like a celebrity, to be honest. But other than that, the people's been amazing. They've welcomed me with open arms, and just being here, seeing what this country has gone through. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people about the history. I've gone on Google and checked it out myself. There's so much history here, so much hurt here. So I think it's something that obviously, you have to experience to know what people are talking about. And I do feel for the people, but it's been an amazing journey just to get here.
Were you a bit apprehensive before taking this opportunity, considering what the country has been through in terms of civil war?
No. The minute they asked me if I'm interested in the job, I immediately said yes. There was never a time in my mind that I thought, yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a good thing. I've always felt like, and I still do that. God will never send me where He can't protect me. So I felt like this was a journey that I was going to be making with Him, and I believe that, like if you have a faith as strong as mine, that you never step outside of any kind of zone without Him by your side. So I never felt like I was in danger. I never felt like I was stepping into a country that you're never sure what's going to happen. I never felt that. Even now, I see that, the US has put an extended memorandum on South Sudan, but I don't see any kind of things that they're talking about. I mean, I live in Juba and they talk about Juba, but I don't see it. I don't see the fighting, and I think it's more on the borders that those things are going on. But still, I'm happy to be here.
Like, if you're being honest, South African coaches don't leave the country much. If you think about it, like there's Coach Pito in Egypt, there close to you. There's Coach Thabo Sinong out in Lesotho, uh, and then there's you in Juba. To be honest, I can't think of anybody else. Why do you think that is? Are we too comfortable at home?
I think, like I told you, I think we live in a bubble. I don't think that, I mean, there's many opportunities outside of our country, and there's just so many opportunities in our country that, there's a lot of talent in our country. There's a lot of good coaches. And I think people just need to, be able to say, listen, if I can't find something in my country that I can use my expertise towards, then let's start looking outside. And like, every time people ask me why South Sudan, and I'm saying, why not South Sudan? Why not Lesotho? Why not Egypt? Because coaching is coaching. And at the end of the day, all you want to do is make a difference. And I think that is what coaches do. They go into the teams that they coach, and they want to make a difference in the lives of the people that they coach. So for me, that has been the most important thing, that I step out of my comfort zone, that I go where I'm needed, that I go where I'm sent, and make a difference.
So when the association approached you, obviously they had a vision in mind, and you were the person to execute that vision. What vision do they have for their football?
I think they have a very clear vision. They want to be the best first in CECAFA, which is the East and Central African um, sort of federations. But also, they want to grow the program. And I think when I look back on what they've done so far, they've done a huge, huge job. So it was always about me coming in and just adding a little bit of expertise. But They have an amazing team behind the scenes that work tirelessly, to get that vision. Not, I mean, it's been off the ground now for, I think, the last 2, 3 months, but just to get it to the next level. And I think me coming in is more about taking the national team to the next level than anything else. So their vision is quite clear, it's achievable, it's not something that I think that can't be done. And that's the reason why I took up the challenge.
After taking the challenge, what was the first thing you implemented? Obviously, that you feel this needed to be done.
Well, I don't think that, like, I don't implement anything. What I do, my main priority and my main job is to work with the national team players. And just going around scouting for players was something that wasn't done before. I think teams just kind of sent players who they thought was talented. But now I've been able to see, I've seen every player in the league. I've gone to places where, like, it hasn't been done before. So that was something that needed to be done. We needed to see everybody to make sure that the very best of South Sudan then comes to the national team. And we work with those players to obviously take the step up. And we continue with that process. We continue to monitor players, we continue to evaluate players, and then put a program in place that will, take them to the next level.
Um, let's come back home a bit. You were with Banyana Banyana for a very long time. What experience would you say you've gained from that process of being in the national team?
Well, I think just stepping from, like, one national team to the next, already you coming with the experiences that you've picked up there. But to tell you the honest truth, not much of the experiences, except for the technical part, is is things that you can use here. There's the budget is very limited, the resources is smaller. So a lot of the things that you do, you have to scale down. Your expectations has got to be lower. So I mean, apart from the technical side, obviously it's a lot different to what I'm used to. And that is something that I've had to, reset my mind and forget about what we had in South Africa, forget about what I had in the US when I was working there, and come and work with the South Sudanese and work with their resources, work with the budgets that they can afford to make the team better. And whatever we have, that's what we have.
Like with Banyana Banyana, I think the whole starting 11 can come from Europe now, and obviously you were part of that. I'm hoping it's a source of pride for you to have so many players overseas and not just in Europe and in America. What led to that exodus, which is great for women's football in South Africa?
I just think it's the program. I think, expanding players' minds, going to tournaments like the Olympics, the World Cup, exposes the players to a higher level of competition, but also the hunger for something more. I mean, playing in South Africa, there was no real value, like, when I say value, but no resources in terms of money, monetary value for the players. But now that they've been seen, now that they've been scouted, they are able to go overseas, whether it's on a scholarship, whether it's on a, like a pro contract. They now are being seen as some of the elite players in Africa. And I think that's something that we all need to be proud of, because it started long before we came into the national team. It started long before even Vera Pau came, to make this program work. It started with coaches long before that. It started with people like Fran Hilton Smith, who's been fighting for years to get just the programs to the level that they are now. And for the players to be able to now pick and choose which teams in Europe they want to play for is huge. It's something that I don't think we even understand how big that is. I mean, for a player to come from South Africa and go into Europe and play for AC Milan or, like SD Aiba or just Braga, or, those are huge, huge teams in their respective leagues. And I don't think that we will ever understand how big it was for us to go to the World Cup.
Also, how important was COSAFA in this whole process of Banyana Banyana and your growth as well of coaching in the continent, because you'd be playing against teams in the SADC region.
Yeah, Coach Des and I have spoken about this a lot, and obviously the other assistant coach, which is Tina Sonke. Um, it's harder to distinguish, not to distinguish. I think that's the wrong word to use, but like just dropping your level after coming from a World Cup to then have to drop your level to the standards of, and I'm not saying all the teams are not of a good standard, but I think it has to do with the quality of and the resources that every federation has. And in the southern hemisphere, I think it's people that will give Banyana a hard time is people like Zimbabwe and Zambia and now maybe Kenya, which is part of the CECAFA region, but that also, they get invited. Tanzania gets invited, but I think it's an important stepping stone for the South African team to play those tournaments, to identify young, upcoming talent, new talent, and local talent in order for you to take the next step. And I think that it is an important competition, but obviously it's not as important as the Olympics or as important as the World Cup, because that is where you actually get scouted to get overseas based contracts. But again, I have to say, even after COSAFA in 2020, I had so many calls from agents, from just looking for clips on our players that played at COSAFA, and it was basically an unknown team that went to 2020 COSAFA. So even those competitions now has become a real source of talent scouting. And I think that is what the players need to know, that you never know who's watching. So every time you step onto the field, you want to make the best of it. You want to make it known. You want to be seen, but you also want to be remembered.
CAF is talking of a CAF Champions League for women. What were your initial thoughts, and what are your thoughts right now?
Again, difficult to say. For some teams and some clubs, it will obviously be a huge boost, because again, it's a it's a competition that's going to expose our players to another level. But again, the resources of some countries are just not of the caliber that you can go and compete. You it's just, I mean, some federations don't have professional leagues, which means that the clubs basically have to self-sustain, and a lot of that is, yeah, it's difficult for women to. But again, I mean, I can't fault CAF for bringing a competition like that to the players, because the women's football has got to grow, and if not now, then when? Because if we keep putting it off because there is no resources, we need to find the resources. We need to find the next big thing, and we need to find it quickly, because women's football has taken off, and it has taken off in a big way. So we need to catch up with the rest of the world, or we're going to always be left behind.
Hey, on a lighter note, what are some of the cultural differences you've sort of realized in South Sudan?
Cultural differences, just like in South Africa. I think there's a lot of cultures here. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different like just tribes, and every corner that you go to, every village that you go to is different. So I think the most important thing that I struggle with is probably the food. Although when I'm in Juba, it's not such a big deal because there's supermarkets and malls that I can go to get food that is like because I think as as South Africans, we have our preferences of what we want to eat. You come to a country like this, and those preferences has got to almost you got to change your mindset in order to get the type of foods that you need. But I've been lucky because, like I said, they put me up in Juba, which is a very it's the main city, so it's the food is okay here. But it's when I travel outside of Juba that I kind of have a problem. But other than that, I mean, like I was told that half the population is sort of Arabic and the other half is Christian. So I'm not unfamiliar with the Arabic side of it because like I have half and half family that is, and so yeah, I mean even the language barrier. I think most of them speak both English and Arabic, so I think that has been sort of a good thing. So I don't think there's many cultural things that I would not be able to adapt to.
So yeah, let's tell the people what are you eating out there? Like that, like burgers or when you're rural, deep
No,
rural.
it doesn't look like there's no McDonald's, there's no KFC, there's no Debonairs, no. Yeah, most of the food I make myself. So I mean, like you can buy the normal steaks and burgers and fish and so like I make my own food, which is okay. So most of the things that I do make is sort of my what I know and what I can eat. So, and a lot of salads because like pineapples is something that they have a lot of. And so I probably eat a pineapple every second day because I love obviously fruit and veg and that's something. But a lot of the fruits are imported, which makes it really expensive for the people of the country. And so I really take cognizance of that because I don't want to look like the type of person who like I'm spending money on things that's sort of an exorbitant amount on food things that is luxuries to other people.
Like relocating is a huge, huge step. You're literally uprooting your whole life. So tell me, did you take anyone with you to kind of help you adjust? Someone you can kuluma with, sprat with, like when you come from work, like, yo.
Yeah, listen, the one thing I tell people is please don't bother me at 6:30 and don't bother me at 7:30 because that's when I watch Saint Ooster and Aaron's play because that's the only Afrikaans that I get. So no, I didn't bring anyone with me, and my family, I normally talk to them. What COVID has taught us really is that you are able to communicate with anyone in the world at any time. And I mean, I can Zoom with him. I'm on the phone with Coach Des, like on a video call, like basically daily. I speak to the other members of the technical team on the national team of South Africa, like weekly, and then I speak to my family daily. So yeah, I haven't brought anyone with, and I'm kind of a loner, so I don't think that I'm a lonely type of person. I mean, I'm alone most of the time, but I'm not lonely. So yeah, I haven't brought anyone, but I do speak to a lot of people at home.
Okay, last but not least, what legacy do you want to leave in South Sudan? Like your stamp. I was here.
Um, to be honest, I don't even think of it in that way. I think the most important thing for me is that the players understand their value, that they know how good they are, that they know that there's so much more out there for them to achieve if they really wanted. I mean, one of the things that I've done is I'm starting a camp with the national team players on Sunday. And one of the things that I've put in my welcoming address or welcoming presentation is that, first of all, they lived in their little villages and that was their bubble. Then suddenly they started a national league and they stepped outside of that bubble. So then it became a South Sudan bubble. Now we're talking about going to Ethiopia, going to COSAFA, and now it becomes a sort of a Central African um, bubble. But then you start looking at touring Africa, and then it's even bigger. So the world is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger for them. And I want that. I want their dreams to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And I want them to know that their dreams is valid, their dreams are achievable, and I'm not gonna rest. I'm not gonna sit on changing the mindsets of these players, because I think there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes about the families, the tribes that these kids belong to. But my role will be to change the mindsets of the players, to make sure that they know that they are valued. There's a value to them that is beyond money, and that they can achieve so much more.